It's October 9th, 2024. At the beginning of October, I went, I would say, fully carnivore. I think I might have had a sauce made of butter with a little bit of onions and garlic in it when we had mussels the other day, maybe a few days ago. But I didn't eat the onions and I didn't eat the garlic chunks. I just had the butter flavored. Other than that, it's been meat, animal products. That's it. Butter. I have raw unsalted. I would say I'm carnivore / raw primal. I have raw unsalted butter. I won't eat pasteurized butter or pasteurized cheese. I have raw cheese. Also, I have with every meal, a typical meal is a burger, mostly lamb and beef that is rotationally grazed and completely chemical free, which is another big part of the way I'm doing this. I've only had a little bit of store-bought meat, like one steak, which was the tomahawk steak the other day, and it was beautiful. And I'm feeling really good. Let's talk about the food still. Also, with every typical meal, usually a burger, partially cooked, seared on both sides, raw in the middle, very raw. The thing is mostly raw, so I'm getting a lot of raw meat. I have a big spoonful of raw butter, which is like 3 tablespoons, I would say. Usually with a meal, I have 1 to 2 raw egg yolks, not the white. And I sometimes, probably at least half of the time, have a slice or two of raw cheese. I've also had some cottage cheese. I had a little pint of that in the last week. I think I might have some more of that. So just to give you a little bit of background, still in August, I went from eating some carbs like potatoes and some vegetables that were kind of non-fibrous vegetables, I would say, easier on the gut, which is the diet I had been doing for about a whole year solid. I've been more than a year off of all kinds of drugs like caffeine and cigarettes and CBD and chocolate and all those things that modify your behavior or your mood. I feel really good about that. I think that's helped me release my addictions to the food and recognize the addiction to the food. Kerry from Homestead How, the carnivore, he always says you can't moderate an addiction, and I completely agree. I could never have one glass of wine or one beer without sometime shortly in the future that turning into one more often, and then 2, and then 3. Same thing with the sugar. And I've noticed, like I wanted to bring this up, that I would say early on in October, that's when I switched over to full carnivore, I had this honey, pollen, propolis mixture that before I switched to full carnivore, I was eating a little tiny bit of a spoonful, maybe like 1/3 to 1/2 teaspoon, and I was feeling fine because that was normal. And I had that shortly after a few days of going into full carnivore, and almost immediately after that, I had a headache. I felt kind of like I was high and foggy minded, and my head didn't feel right. My body didn't feel right. I didn't feel like doing things. It was weird. And I felt like I had a hangover the rest of the day from that and didn't feel right until the next day. So that was my I threw that in the trash. I still have 2 other ones for the family, but I just had to get that away from me at the moment. I didn't think about it too much. That was kind of my last foray into the any kind of sweets. In September, I was having carnivore ice cream with a tiny bit of honey in it that my wife would make, and I was kind of getting that feeling then too, because late August I started switching over to more of a full animal products. September first week I had probably my last carbs in the first week 2 times. The rest of the week I was mostly meat, animal, stuff like that. I feel really stable. I also wanted to tell you that sometime in October, I think it was mid-October, I'm not sure exactly, I did the 72-hour sardines, which is you start when you eat your first can of sardines, and that starts your 72 hours. And then you eat as many sardines as you want. They're really satisfying, and you can go long times without even thinking about eating after you have them. I did add to that really heavy cream. I call Levi cream because I get it from Levi's cream. It's way thicker. It's like a spoon. Never even runs, like thicker than honey. I had that mixed with mustard and raw egg yolk and I mix that up and dip my sardines in that. So that was also a very heavy fat from the egg, fat from the cream, and the mustard works with those emulsifiers in the eggs to, I think, help clear out your liver and your gallbladder. So I think that really helped me hitting the gallbladder with these fat meals that stimulates the liver and the gallbladder at the same time you're giving it the mustard. I think that helped me a lot. But you go 72 hours and it doesn't end until you have your last can of sardines. So if you go to 72 hours, you can't just say I'm fasting until I eat again. You have to go past 72 hours until you're hungry again, or just eat your can of sardines to complete this thing. And the reason you do that is because, and this was my experience, it kind of resets your whole body to produce ketones and start learning to burn fat instead of carbs or sugar. Your body will burn either carbs or fat for energy. The protein is like building blocks, and the carbs or fat is for energy. So the key is that you want to get your glucose levels down and your ketones up. And this is what like Dr. Boz talks about. If you look at her thing, she's keto. I think I studied a lot of her videos and started to understand this. That's where I got the sardine idea too. So yes, by the end of those 3 days, I felt reset. I felt like I lost a lot of the cravings for the carbohydrates and the sugars. And now that I've been solidly on carnivore mostly for a month and almost a month and a half, I've really lost the taste or the cravings for the carbohydrates. I do think about them sometimes. I've had weird dreams about drinking coffee, and I don't think I've had like cake dreams and stuff like that, but I may have had some cake or chocolate dreams. It's really weird how that happens. I think I'm still releasing the toxins from that, or letting go from that. I had the keto flu at the end of September. It was like the 20th or something like that. That was the worst. Felt really depressed, and all my joints hurt so bad, like I hadn't for many years. And what I realized is, well, there was a lot of bee stinging before that was doing that too. I think it was healing me. That guy quit. I quit doing that. That was after 10 weeks. So I think that was working, but I hadn't even gotten close into the time when it would really turn and start going in the right direction. But it reminded me of how much the benefit of all that. They say all things work together for good to them that love God and are called according to his purpose, right? So that's me. And I felt like the reason that I did that whole thing was, well, number one, it showed me I had to go somewhere on every Monday night, which was enjoyable. I enjoyed the people I was spending time with and the experience. I learned a lot about bees, more about bees than I would have. And I do think they are beneficial. I did a lot of studies on that. I think they work. But I don't really want to do that every Monday night. I can change what I put in my mouth all the time and have all these other benefits. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. And it's simplified my whole eating thing. I don't feel addicted to food anymore. When I'm hungry or starting to get hungry, I go eat something. I don't eat because I'm upset anymore. I don't binge on things. I don't have that addiction anymore. And it's a wonderful thing. After releasing the other addictions over a year ago and then getting to the point now, I feel really happy to be released from the food addiction. You know, so the bee thing, I think the benefit of doing all that, other than just learning about bees and stings, is, and I might do it again sometime, but I realized I had all this lingering joint issues that were getting better over the last 4 or 5 years that I was doing raw primal type, clean, rotationally grazed food and moving more and more into the animal products. I was definitely gaining and feeling better and stronger than sometimes I felt like I was stronger and more resilient than ever in my life. I was before the bee stings. And also this summer I ate more vegetables, I would say, from the farm, organic. But I think that was bringing me down. The shoulder was getting worse. My joints in general just weren't feeling as good, especially after the bee stings. But it highlighted that I have these underlying joint issues still. And I'm just excited now to be going in a direction where they're releasing this. I can reach further with this shoulder, both that way and behind my back. I can turn my hand till it's almost flat on my back now, and I couldn't do that a couple weeks ago. I'd like to be able to reach all the way up like this, which I used to be able to do last year before the bee stings. And I think I'm moving in that direction. I feel the biggest thing, though, other than my body, is my mind. I feel like I'm sharper than ever at work meetings. I'm right on top of things. I don't lose focus like I used to at a boring part of the meeting as much. I'm more engaged in the meetings. I have ideas. I'm enthusiastic. I'm leading one project right now, and I feel like I'm doing a great job. It's going really well. I feel more calm. People that have problems and direct them towards me don't bother me. I easily, calmly deal with the matter. It's wonderful. I think the mental and brain and happiness, I'm happier. um, more content. I don't dwell on problems. I'm not depressed. I'm getting out of bed easier. Still, some days are hard after a lot of activity, and I'm not getting up at 4 o'clock, 4:15. My wife's alarm goes off. I'm not getting up then, usually. Sometimes I have. I'm not doing my stretching every morning like I'd like to get up for, but it's okay. I'm only a couple weeks into full carnivore and a month and a half into mostly carnivore. I call it carnivore / raw primal because I am doing mostly raw stuff. So I do feel like a lot of people have reported significant progress in 4 to 6 weeks, and then 6 months. Somewhere in there is where the real stuff happens. So, but I already feel like my body is changing. I feel something really good in my body from this. I feel good mentally from this. I just feel good about it in my spirit. I feel like I'm headed the right way. I've still been watching carnivore testimonies every day, mostly, like hour-long testimonies. I started with Homestead Hal, and whoever he interviewed, then I would subscribe to their channel and other people's channels, and the popular doctors like Ken Berry and Chaffee. Watch some of those. I don't really like to watch the scientific doctor stuff. I don't really care about science so much, even though it is kind of interesting. All these technical words and stuff, I'm really like kind of against that whole thing with doctors. I just like to hear regular people talk about how they went carnivore and how 6 months or a year later they're just thriving and threw away all their pills, and all their arthritis is completely gone. Several people say their arthritis is completely gone. To me, that's just like the greatest thing that could ever happen for me and so many people out there. If you have arthritis and you're in pain every day, it affects you. It affects how you deal with other people in every situation. You get down from being in pain or lack of mobility or aches all the time, even if it's a small amount. And I've put up with it, and I'm just done with it. And I'm so happy, grateful to God that there's this hope for releasing all of that, or even most of it. And I really don't feel like I'm going to be sucked back in again to the carbs and the plants. I really do feel like they're very destructive to the human body and have toxins. They're known to have toxins in them, and the elevation of your blood sugar from even the complex carbs is not a good thing for the body. This insulin, all the way, reacting all the time, is a cause for inflammation in the body. And now that I'm experiencing the other side of it, which I couldn't get to before. I always got so constipated. I've said this before. Now I'm taking the vitamin C. I think my liver has cleared out a lot from the other toxins from more than a year ago, from different drugs and caffeine and alcohol. And now the plants are starting to clear out. I think that's what I had the keto flu. The plants are starting to clear out of my body, and now it's going to be smooth sailing into the fully animal products world. I'm having no milk. I'm having nothing that's sweet. And it's wonderful. I'm telling you, if you're thinking about it, Don't think about it anymore. Move towards that direction. It took me really since 18, so 5 years. 5 years, back and forth, continuing to get back on track as much as I could. Some people can't do it cold turkey. That's me. That was me. But here I am. And I'm so glad I kept moving in the right direction. If you're thinking about it, do it. You can do it. You won't regret it. I'm loving it. I'm going to do these more often and just talk. And I'll end it there today. Have a great day.